Several new developments in South Suburban Dalton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dalton, has ignited a firestorm of controversy that's far from typical local leadership. Her turbulent relationship with the Dalton City Council, questionable spending habits, and a lifestyle that some view as more celebrity than public servant have drawn harsh criticism. The latest development is even more alarming. Henyard is reportedly using her power over the police force to target her detractors, with some claiming she might arrest members of the city council who oppose her. Once a rising political figure, Henyard's actions have led to whispers that she has transformed from a mayor to what some are now calling the Dalton dictator.
Appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next.
Tiffany Henyard, elected mayor of Dalton in 2021, came into office with promises of transformative leadership and progress for the community. However, her time in office has become riddled with controversy, raising serious questions about her true intentions. Is her goal to genuinely improve the town? Or is she using her position to further her own personal ambitions? Scandals surrounding her administration paint a troubling picture of a government plagued by discord, mistrust, and allegations of abuse of power. One of the most divisive accusations is that Henyard has been using Dalton's police force as her personal security detail, a move that critics argue crosses ethical lines and fuels fears of authoritarianism. Instead of promoting transparency and unity, detractors claim Henyard has fostered a culture of intimidation, silencing dissent, and creating an atmosphere where both critics and residents are afraid to speak out. This high-stakes political drama, full of defiance, fierce opposition, and intrigue, rivals the tension of a reality TV series, leaving observers captivated, yet deeply concerned about the future of Dalton. From the outset, Tiffany Henyard's approach to leadership marked a departure from tradition, with bold promises to revitalize Dalton. However, her administration has instead descended into a series of public disputes and allegations, leading many to believe that her promises of progress have fallen flat. As frustrations mount, a growing perception emerges that Henyard's focus is less on addressing the community's needs and more on consolidating power. Her leadership style has been sharply criticized for its autocratic tendencies, with reports suggesting that she has used local law enforcement to further personal agendas, fueling concerns about unchecked authority. Residents have raised these issues at community meetings, only to be met with a lack of accountability and a dismissive attitude toward constructive criticism. This has deepened the rift between Henyard and the very people who elected her. The friction surrounding Tiffany Henyard's governance, marked by heated confrontations in public forums, highlights a deeper divide within Dalton, a town desperate for effective, inclusive leadership. At the heart of this conflict are the competing narratives presented by her supporters and critics, each framing her role in starkly different terms. Her supporters emphasize her resilience in the face of relentless criticism, portraying her as a misunderstood leader who remains committed to her vision for Dalton despite facing significant opposition. In contrast, her detractors argue that her leadership style is disconnected from the community's needs, prioritizing optics and control over collaboration and tangible results. Among the most serious accusations is that Henyard has misused public resources for personal gain, particularly through alleged mismanagement of the town's budget. The Dalton Police Department has become a central point of dissatisfaction, highlighting a governance model that increasingly appears at odds with democratic principles. This issue has permeated nearly every aspect of Henyard's administration, creating a palpable tension that runs through town hall meetings and neighborhood discussions. The stark contrast between Henyard's public persona and the lived realities of many residents has fueled widespread disillusionment. Critics argue that her leadership is driven more by self-interest than by a genuine commitment to serving the community. Stories of high profitable expenditures and decisions that seem disconnected from the town's urgent needs only amplify skepticism about her priorities, raising doubts about her dedication to equitable, effective leadership. For a town like Dalton, grappling with significant socioeconomic challenges, the stakes are particularly high. There is a pressing need for transparent, concerted efforts to address systemic issues. Against this backdrop, Henyard's tenure has come to symbolize not just a battle over policy and politics, but over the very nature of leadership and accountability. The fundamental ideals of representation and accountability are at the heart of the growing discontent with Tiffany Henyard's leadership. Allegations against her, ranging from using municipal resources for personal gain to resisting oversight and suppressing dissent, paint a troubling picture of a leader who seems increasingly out of step with the community's expectations. Residents who once hoped her administration would bring positive change are now voicing their frustration, their concerns echoing in meetings and public statements that challenge the direction of her governance. Despite this mounting opposition, Henyard remains undeterred, projecting confidence and dismissing many of these criticisms as politically motivated attempts to undermine her.
Wrong is wrong, and there's a time to hold people responsible and accountable for their actions.
The atmosphere at the town hall meeting was charged with tension, as residents and council members gathered for what many anticipated would be another heated exchange under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. While some attendees hoped to address urgent issues facing Dolton, others were drawn to the spectacle, expecting the drama that often surrounds these gatherings. Witness accounts paint a disturbing picture, with Henyard often making her entrance flanked by police officers, allegedly serving as her personal security detail. This sight has come to symbolize a leadership style that critics describe as heavy-handed and autocratic. Henyard's well-known disdain for criticism, combined with her aggressive responses to opposition, has fueled accusations that her approach to leadership is driven more by self-preservation than by collaboration. In a recent Facebook Live broadcast, Henyard further escalated tensions by suggesting the possibility of legal action against some council members, accusing them of being involved in what she called a money grab conspiracy. This claim only adds to the growing controversy surrounding her administration. This adds another layer of complexity to an already fractured administration. Henyard's remarks painted a picture of a mayor who is embattled not only with the public but also with her own colleagues in government, indicating a political landscape marked by deep distrust and division. Adding to the controversy, reports have surfaced claiming that Henyard has directed police officers, public servants funded by taxpayer dollars, to surveil her perceived adversaries. This includes allegedly tracking council members around town, a move many see as an overt intimidation tactic designed to assert her authority and stifle opposition. The use of law enforcement in this way has outraged residents who view it as a misuse of public resources and a blatant violation of democratic principles. Critics argue that this alleged behavior is part of a broader pattern of a mayor who prioritizes personal power over the well-being and transparency of the community she serves. The growing tension between Tiffany Henyard and various factions of the community has turned town hall meetings into battlegrounds for power and accountability, rather than spaces for constructive dialogue. These gatherings increasingly highlight the widening rift between the mayor and the residents she was elected to serve. As accusations of misconduct and abuse of power continue to surface, Henyard's critics are becoming more vocal in their calls for transparency and leadership that prioritizes the needs of the community. The allegations against her have escalated beyond political disputes, venturing into claims of blatant abuse of power. Insiders allege that Henyard has given direct orders to police officers to monitor council members who have publicly opposed her policies. If true, these accusations point to a calculated and audacious effort to consolidate control and suppress dissent, further deepening the crisis surrounding her administration. Tiffany Henyard's alleged efforts to consolidate control by sidelining opposition at the expense of democratic integrity have sparked widespread concern. One particularly disturbing revelation claims that Henyard asked Robert Collins, Dolton's former chief of police, to target specific individuals on her behalf in a move reportedly designed to advance her political agenda. This request has ignited outrage among council members and residents, who view such actions as symptomatic of a mayor more focused on preserving personal power than addressing the town's urgent issues. The implications of these alleged power plays go far beyond personal vendettas. Council members and residents see them as direct threats to their autonomy and their right to have a voice in local governance. Many feel their rights to participate in decision-making are being systematically undermined by an administration that refuses to tolerate dissent. For Dolton's residents, these events have only intensified the growing discontent, raising urgent questions about the future of leadership in the town.
Police chief,
The questions surrounding accountability and leadership in Dolton have become even more pressing as the town grapples with political turmoil. Henyard's approach, often described by critics as authoritarian and dismissive, has deeply polarized the community. Those advocating for change argue that her aggressive tactics betray the trust placed in her as an elected official and reveal a troubling disregard for transparency and fairness. In a small town like Dalton, where community trust is vital, these bold and allegedly coercive actions have sparked widespread indignation, signaling a significant turning point in the relationship between Henyard and the people she was elected to serve.
Talked to Tiffany Henyard's landlord, and she says she came to this Thornton Township meeting Tuesday night hoping to get paid what she...
The controversies surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard are as extensive as they are concerning, with one of the most alarming being the alleged financial mismanagement that has left Dalton in a precarious economic position. Accusations of excessive spending and questionable financial priorities have dominated the conversation, painting Henyard as a leader more focused on extravagance than on fiscal responsibility. These allegations are supported by findings from Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, who was brought in to assess Dalton's financial situation. Lightfoot's report paints a troubling picture. Under Henyard's leadership, the town's general fund balance has dramatically declined from a strong surplus to a precarious deficit, from a $561 million surplus to a staggering $365 million deficit. By May 2024, Dalton's financial decline has left residents and critics alike asking the critical question: where did all the money go? The picture painted by Lori Lightfoot's investigation is deeply concerning. Originally earmarked for essential public services and infrastructure improvements, Dalton's funds appear to have been redirected toward expenditures that many consider frivolous or self-serving. Lavish events, luxury travel, and personal projects top the list of questionable expenses, all of which critics argue have done little to benefit the broader community. The scale of this spending has only fueled a growing sense of mistrust among Dalton's residents, who feel that the town's leadership is more focused on optics and self-promotion than on addressing urgent community needs. Henyard's opponents have been quick to highlight the stark contrast between her lavish expenditures and the pressing financial challenges facing the town. As Dalton's financial state deteriorates, so too does the patience of its residents, many of whom believe the mayor's priorities are fundamentally misaligned with the town's best interests. Public outrage has intensified as concerns about Henyard's alleged spending habits and the town's mounting debt intersect with her growing reputation for authoritarian leadership and a tendency to suppress criticism. Despite mounting criticism, Henyard has consistently maintained her innocence, often deflecting blame onto external forces or political opponents. However, this defensive stance has done little to quell the frustration brewing among Dalton's residents. The financial downturn under her leadership goes beyond numbers on a ledger. It has tangible consequences for the community. As resources dwindle, public services have suffered, leading to delays in infrastructure projects and cuts to essential services, further exacerbating the growing discontent. The economic strain has further deepened the divide between Henyard's administration and Dalton's residents, who watch their tax dollars disappear into initiatives they feel don't benefit the public good. In town hall meetings and public forums, citizens have voiced their displeasure, demanding answers and accountability from a leader they feel has betrayed their trust. Complicating matters are allegations that Henyard's spending is not only reckless, but strategically designed to consolidate power. Some critics argue that her use of municipal funds for events and projects is a calculated attempt to win favor with specific constituencies, solidifying her political base even as broader community support fades. These allegations cast Henyard's financial decisions in an even harsher light, suggesting that her priorities lie more in securing personal political gain than in serving the town's long-term well-being. The motives behind Henyard's spending appear less about governance and more about self-preservation in a politically charged environment. As the financial crisis deepens, the narrative surrounding her tenure grows more troubling. What was once seen as an administration plagued by controversy has, in the eyes of many, become a cautionary tale of unchecked authority and misplaced priorities. Dalton now finds itself at a crossroads, facing not only immediate economic challenges, but also the broader implications of leadership that critics argue has prioritized personal ambitions over public trust. The looming question is whether the town can recover from the financial and reputational damage inflicted during Henyard's term, or if these controversies mark the beginning of a long and difficult decline. Amidst all the turmoil, one thing is clear: the residents of Dalton are no longer willing to remain passive. Community members have begun to organize, with calls for accountability growing louder and more urgent each day. Whether through petitions, public demonstrations, or grassroots campaigns, Dalton's citizens are making their dissatisfaction known, signaling a collective refusal to accept the status quo. This groundswell of activism may prove to be the most significant check on Henyard's power, as residents work to reclaim their town's future from what they perceive as mismanagement and neglect.
Seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
This is where the story takes a surprising turn. Henyard allegedly used Dalton's credit cards to make personal purchases at Amazon, Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair for her own upscale preferences. These were not just typical office supply charges. According to Lightfoot's report, there were specific transactions, such as a staggering $43,000 spent on Amazon, 2 additional purchases of about $5,000 each on the same day, and a nearly $8,000 charge at Wayfair in a single day. Both trustees and locals were shocked by this information, with many questioning how these extravagant purchases could possibly benefit a financially struggling town like Dalton. But it doesn't stop there. Henyard has also been taking luxurious trips. She and her staff reportedly enjoyed first-class travel to cities like New York, with village records showing thousands spent on upscale lodging in places like Atlanta and Portland, including a stay at the Four Seasons in Atlanta. Henyard's spending spree includes nearly $9,000 in hotel expenses and a staggering $113,000 spent at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square during a trip to New York. While this may seem like just another day in the life of Dalton's supermayor, residents are struggling to access basic services, with some worried the town won't even be able to pay its employees. Despite the financial strain, Henyard has shown little acknowledgement of the issue. Many in Dalton, including Andrea McKay, feel personally deceived by her apparent indifference to the town's financial crisis. McKay points out that elderly residents are unable to afford even basic necessities, and trustees like Tammy Brown are demanding reform. Brown has even stated that Dalton needs a clean house by the next election. Henyard's influence stretches beyond Dalton, as she also serves as supervisor of nearby Thornton Township, where similar spending patterns have emerged. According to Thornton Township's credit card records, Henyard spent over $67,000 on questionable expenses. Henyard's expenditures have extended beyond questionable trips, meals, and other expenses that critics argue have little to do with her official duties. She has been spotted at lavish dinners and socializing with high-profile individuals, even meeting with the president at one point. Detractors argue that these outings are little more than publicity stunts, but Henyard defends her actions, claiming that these trips are crucial for building relationships and securing resources for her community. However, residents remain unconvinced. As if the financial turmoil weren't enough, the FBI is reportedly investigating her administration. Federal subpoenas have been issued, targeting Dalton and Thornton Township, which could spell major trouble for Henyard. Lightfoot's findings, which pointed to financial misconduct, are now under investigation. And while Henyard's supporters label the probe a smear campaign, her critics hope it will bring much-needed transparency to the village's governance. Amid growing financial troubles and federal scrutiny, you might expect Henyard to lie low, but that's not her style. In fact, she's doubling down, launching her re-election campaign with the confidence of someone who believes they are untouchable. Despite the avalanche of criticism, she insists she's still Dalton's best option, claiming her opponents are simply jealous of her success. In her words, "Everything we do is for the people, but we're under attack." To Henyard, the ongoing investigations are just another obstacle to overcome. Her critics, however, see it differently. Many allege that Henyard has resorted to intimidation tactics, reportedly targeting business owners who refuse to contribute to her campaign. One such story is that of Lawrence Gardner, an auto and trucking business owner who claims his license was revoked after he refused to make the so-called contributions Henyard demanded. According to Gardner, Henyard insisted on an annual donation, and when he stopped paying, city officials found reasons to shut down his business. It's not an isolated incident. Other business owners have come forward with similar accusations. With similar stories emerging, many allege that Henyard uses her power to retaliate against anyone who refuses to fall in line. These reports paint a picture of a leader more focused on retaining power than serving her community. As Henyard gears up for re-election, her past deeds are catching up with her. One such case involves Janetta Hall, who has filed an eviction lawsuit against Henyard and her boyfriend Kamal Woods for failing to pay rent since August. Henyard's, all who once considered Henyard a friend, claims Henyard changed the locks on the property to keep her out. Hall's frustration mirrors that of many Dalton residents who feel deceived by Henyard's broken promises of change. As federal investigations loom, many are left wondering whether Henyard's controversial reign will finally come to an end, or if she will continue to cling to power, using her influence over the police and town resources to silence her critics. Will her eviction be the wake-up call Dolton needs, or just another chapter in a tumultuous leadership story? The story of Dolton's most controversial leader continues to unfold, with many questions still left unanswered. One thing is certain: despite her eviction, the drama in Dolton is far from over. Henyard's campaign has reportedly struggled to secure funding, yet she presses on, undeterred by federal investigations and growing opposition from her own city council. While she claims to have Dolton's best interests at heart, many residents remain doubtful, citing her extravagant lifestyle and tight control over the town's police force. Is Mayor Henyard truly working for the good of the community, or has her leadership devolved into a spectacle of power and privilege? Will Dolton finally see accountability with the FBI's involvement, or is this just another chapter in an ongoing political drama? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on this and other trending stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.